It was so nice to see the reaction to the video I put up on the first Terran Trade Authority book, and to see that I wasn't alone in having a love and an affection for the book, and it being a massive influence. Very gratifying and lovely to see. And thanks to anyone who left comments on that video, telling me your love of the book, and also thank you to the people who pointed out what novels the artwork was in. All right, so it went down very well. So I thought we'd do it again, and this is the second book, Great Space Battles, complete with dust cover. This one, I'm happy to say, which came out a year later. It came out in 1979, and again, just like the first one, I've had it all this time, looked after it, and I want to keep looking after it. So what I'm going to do is, oh, by the way, apologies for any shakiness to the camera. My plan was to have it up in my hobby room where I've got a fixed camera pointing down, but the weather today is so appalling that the light up there is awful, and if I use artificial light, you're not going to get the full impact of the gorgeous artwork, and it will flare out as well because this is very glossy. So I'm using my phone's camera, so apologies for any camera shake, but the advantage of using it is that I'll be able to zoom in on the detail. All right, so let's go. But as I say, I've had this book since '79, and it's still in really good condition, and I want to keep it that way, and I don't want the bindings to be put under any stress by me opening it right up. So I'm bringing in a cushion, all right, to just hold it at an angle. Okay, so let's go and let's start. So we'll open up, and yep, two things to note. Number one, in '79 it was $2.99 to buy, and this is odd. In these line drawings, which are in the first book, and they're line drawings of the spacecraft that you get in the first book, are still here in the second book. None of these appear in this book, but there you go. Also, you can see, I'll do my first zooming in, even though I've looked after the book, we're starting to see age to the book. We're getting the discoloration. I mean, you know, nothing we can do about that. I've never stored these books up in the attic. They've always been in a warm room on a bookcase, stored, you know, on a shelf normally, but you know, that's the nature of paper, isn't it? So here we go. Let's go in. Great Space Battles. It's an awful lot of white there, and bam, right out the gate. As much as I love the first book, and you know, I hold it dear because it was the first of the books. The thing that it was lacking is this bloke, Peter Elson, who is my number one science fiction painted spacecraft illustrator. As much as I love all the other artists that are in this book and the books, Peter Elson is number one for me. It's just something about his spacecraft, the detail he puts into it, the colors that he uses, the colors of the background, how they complement it. A fantastic artist. And yeah, and the first book was lacking Peter. This is the first time I even knew the name Peter Elson, because again, just like the first book, right in the corner, every artist, quite rightfully, is acknowledged. All right, so Peter Elson, right out the gate. So let's go. Now, this book is different to the first book in that it tells a story. All right, it is the Great Space Battles, and it's divided up into chapters, and we start off with the Lagoon Wars. And unlike the first book, where you had artwork on the right and description about the ship on the left. This doesn't happen. This is a story of the wars. And I can never remember whether I read it or not. I think I must have read it when I first bought it, but I've never been inclined to reread it. I'm interested in all this, you know. So here we go then. Angus Mackay. Beautiful artwork. An interesting choice to have the spaceship the same color as the sky, but it works. And as you get with an awful lot of the artwork, there's an awful lot of space. And of course, that's where, you know, the artist has left space for the title and logos, etc. All right, so Angus Mackay first. And we've got Jim Burns. He's got a very distinctive style, you know, this airbrushed look to all his craft. So that's Jim Burns. And here we go. Peter Elson. I love this image. I love the notion of having a black spacecraft with the white, silvery, bluey detailing. And I love the prow of this ship in the background. And I love the pink space background. Beautiful. And on the other page, we have another piece of work by Peter. Let's zoom in on that detail. I'd love to know how big these pieces of artwork were. Okay. Jim Burns again. I've seen this in more than one book. I've got a couple of Jim Burns collections, and it's in there. Angus Mackay again. What I love about this one is Angus has done the thing that you get with huge objects that are very far away. They go hazy, and I love the way he's put that haziness in, but the foreground is in focus. Lovely work. Peter Elson again. He was superb at putting in all the little squares, all the little details, and all the logos, rather than just have a blank space. He would really detail it up. A huge influence on me as a model maker. Again, look at that. I think these are based off the old Scorpion tanks, the British Scorpion tanks that were around in the 70s, but this is like a hover version. First Clash. This is Tony Roberts. Looks like Tony Roberts. Yeah, Tony Roberts. What I love about Tony Roberts' work is he very often painted his craft brown. I don't know if he had a job lot of, you know, raw umber and burnt sienna, but very often he uses earthy tones. This ship, this is by Fred Gambino. This ship, I think, is in the Space Rex book. I might be wrong, but the shape of that ship, isn't there an image in Space Rex where it's like on a hill and there's a skeleton by the side of it? I'll have to look out for that when I do the Space Rex book sometime in the future. All right. Alan Daniels, not a name I'm familiar with. Again, very airbrushy, isn't it? Look at that. Colin Hay. Nothing screams 70s spacecraft more than yellow and black, does it? Lovely work. Peter again. Look at that use of colour. Amazing stuff. A yellow and pink starfield. Truly it was the 70s. Colin Hay. Peter Elson again. Look at those colours. Look at that detail. I really wish, you know, the artists of the 70s who did the covers, I wish there was a renaissance. I wish we had collections on each artist, you know, really in-depth ones. Peter, what were you doing? A space cow, a spaceship shaped like a cow. I mean, that is just amazing. Fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah, I was saying, I mean, you know, the likes of Jim Burns and Chris Foss, they've had collected works, but I want more. Bob Lazelle, Angus Mackay. Angus again. Peter Elson. I mean, is 2001 an influence here? I think so. That's a really good example of how he would, you know, just detail things up with markings and the likes. That cockpit is fantastic. How big was this piece of artwork? We need collections explaining it all. Tony Roberts. Peter again. I love that. Every so often you get a line drawing explaining something, and they're good, but I know which one my eye is drawn to upon flicking over. Angus Mackay again. Angus Mackay again. That's a classic one. Tony Roberts. Yeah. I can do without the line work. This, Peter Elson, classic. A year or two ago, there was a build challenge on SFM UK where we were given one of the shoulder pads, the Mandalorian shoulder pad, and turn it into something. And I know the spacecraft I made, I absolutely was influenced by the colours Peter has put in here. It was this shade of metallic blue with the white and red. I should have dug it out for today's filming, really. Jim Burns, again. He obviously had some raw umber on his shelf. This one by Angus Mackay is obviously a massive influence on the Roadbusters strip in 2000 AD, where you have the giant demolition robots that go mad, and you have a battle just like this with robots just like this that are the same size as this. This must have been an influence on Dave Gibbons when he was drawing that. Absolutely. Tony Roberts again, the man in brown. Look at it. I would never think to paint in a spaceship that colour, but it works superbly. Brilliant stuff. Angus Mackay again. Bob Lazelle. You don't see much of him in these books, but when he pops up, he has some great designs. I really do wish somebody would start 3D printing designs similar to these, or do it in conjunction with the artists, you know, or the artist's estate, and have officially licensed, you know, Terran Trade Authority spacecraft. It'd be brilliant. Angus Mackay. You would have to, though, if you did have the models, you would have to have a comprehensive decal set, wouldn't you? That's a lovely one. That's a lovely design there. It's a bit like my ice scraper I've got for my car. Tony Roberts again, using brown again. Jim Burns, yeah, that's in a number of books. Colin Hay. It's rare to see aliens in these books. Very rare. And yeah, I'd have to go back and read the text to try and find out how they managed to incorporate this Jim Burns image into the story. Fabulous spaceship. Look at that. Peter Elson. He has just a way about him, the way he has the craft coming towards you like this, you know, the detailing all over it, the choice of colours. Such a distinctive style, old Peter. Tony Roberts with a brown spaceship again. This is up there in my top 3 of images from this book. This is Peter Elson again, and fabulous image. If it wasn't for the, mind you, they could be skinnies. I was going to say, if it wasn't for the hands, that this could be a powered suit from Starship Troopers, but they could be skinnies. This could be Starship Troopers. That helmet is definitely influenced by 2001. This is my number 1 image from the book, Peter again, and I love this ship. I love the design of the ship. I love this huge, great, open cockpit. I love the colour green with the black that he's done. I love the yellow sky. I love the angle of it. Amazing. My number 1 image from the whole book. It would be wonderful if you could get portfolio collections, if you could get prints. This would be framed on my wall, absolutely. We got Fred Gambino again. Again, aliens, you're not used to seeing them. This, I think, is second place. And again, it's a Peter Elson. I love this flatbed ship. I love this tall ship. And I love that sky. Look at that. Look how high it goes up. Obviously, that was the title. The book's title went there. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Who is this? Robin Hidden. Not a familiar name to me. Angus Mackay. We're getting near the end. In fact, that is the end. Yes, we end with Angus Mackay. And what's on the back? Oh, it's that image. So there we go. That's the second book. I hold the first book very dear because it was the very first one. But this one has the genius that was Peter Elson. So I think back then I would study this book more than the second book. Do you agree? If you had this book, why not leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of it. Thanks for watching. I will be back at some point with the third book in the volume. All right, so stay tuned, and yeah, thanks for watching.